Hello, hello. We are starting chapter 6 of our Junie B. Jones Cheater Pants. And for those of you who are just joining us, our new kiddos that came back from Miss Dennard's class, we started reading another Junie B. Jones book. I think this is our third, this might be our third Junie B. Jones book. You have to tell me if I'm wrong, guys. But this is our third one, and it's called Junie B. Jones Cheater Pants. And she's in first grade, and she did not do her homework over the weekend. And her teacher, Mr. Scary, asked for everyone to get their homework out, and she freaked out. She did not have her homework, but she saw May, a little girl in her class, her homework sitting on her desk. So when May ran to the office for her teacher, she copied her paper and got caught cheating. Her teacher actually caught her because she was telling a story about borrowing the homework. But we all know borrowing, when you borrow something, you give it right back. But you can't borrow homework. So, chapter 6. The next morning, I sat next to Herb on the bus. I sit next to him every single day on account of that's what best friends automatically do. Herb started talking about his new dog, Dilly. Only I couldn't even pay attention that good, because how can you talk about Dilly when you've still got a note from your teacher in your pocket? Mama and Daddy had signed that thing, and now I had to take it back to Mr. Scary. So remember in the last chapter, Mr. Scary sent a note home with her telling Mama and Daddy that she had cheated, and they had to sign it. I slumped way down in my seat. School was not being fun these days. I looked at Herb. I wished I could tell him about my problem. Only what if he doesn't like cheaters and he found out I was one, and then he didn't like me either? I thought and thought real hard. Then finally I took a deep breath and I decided to risk it. I leaned real close to his ear and I whispered to him very secret. Okay, here's the situation, Herb, I said. I'm in a little bit of trouble at school. Only I'm not really bad, I promise. It's just that yesterday I accidentally did something wrong, but I don't actually want to tell you what it is, or else you might not like me anymore. Herb looked at me and shrugged. You copied May's homework when she went to the office, he said. I did a gasp at that boy, because how did he know that private information? I scratched my head. But, how did you even... Herb interrupted me. I saw you, he said. Lenny and Jose saw you too. You're a terrible sneak, Junie B. Really terrible, I mean. I did a little frown. That was not a compliment, possibly. Herb patted my arm. Don't worry, we still like you, he said. Just don't copy May's homework anymore, and then you won't get into any trouble. I nodded my head. Then I patted him back. That Herb is good for me, I think. Me and Herbert walked to room 1 together. Then we stopped right in our footsteps because wowie, wow. The whole room looked different, I tell you. Instead of being in rows, all of the desks were arranged in groups of circles. We looked in the back to where we sit. There were 5 desks in our group. May was already in her seat. So now they've come into their classroom and their teacher, Mr. Scary, has rearranged the desks. I used to do this when I had kids in my classroom. I used to love to change everybody's seating, sometimes once a week, so that it would be different. She was cleaning her desktop with a moist towelette. Just then, Lenny and Jose walked in behind us. Whoa, said Lenny. What's going on here, said Jose. Mr. Scary told us to please find our desk, and he would explain this in a minute. All of us went back and sat down. Sitting in a circle feels friendly. We waved and smiled at each other, only not May. She looked smuggy at us. I already know why we're sitting like this, she said. I was the first one here this morning, and when you're first, you get to know stuff. Jose stared at her moist towelette. He made a cuckoo sign. Just then, Mr. Scary went to the board and he wrote a weird word. Boys and girls, this morning, we're going to be doing a poetry assignment, he said. That's why I arranged your desk like this. I want you to be able to talk over your thoughts and share ideas. He pointed at the weird word. It was spelled Cinquain. Does anyone know, or does anyone want to try and pronounce this? He said. Does anyone want to sound it out? May jumped right up. Tin can, she shouted. It's probably pronounced tin can. She grinned real delightful. I know it's tin can because you told me that this morning, remember? I was the first one here and I saw you write it on the board and you told me it was pronounced tin can. Mr. Scary looked puzzled at her. Gee, I'm sorry, May, but it's not tin can, he said. You must not have heard me correctly. The word is pronounced like the words sin and cane. Sin cane. May crossed her arms. No, she said. I'm sure that's not what you told me. You said it was tin can, Mr. Scary. You know you did. Mr. Scary frowned. No, May, I didn't, he said. Now please, take your seat. May sat down in a huff. She put her head on her desk and hid under her sweater. Mr. Scary looked back at the board. A cinquain is a poem that has 5 lines, he said, and each line has its own special rule. He wrote the 5 rules. First line, 1 word, title. Second line, 2 words that describe the title. Third line, 3 action words about the title. Fourth line, 4 words that express a thought or feeling about the title. Fifth line, 1 word that means the same thing as the title. After that, he wrote a cinquain for us to see. It was a poem called Pickle. Pickle. Bumpy, lumpy. Crunchy, munching, lunching. Cucumbers making you pucker. Gherkin. A gherkin means pickle. Did you hear those describing words, those adjectives, bumpy and lumpy, and those action words, something that the pickle does, crunching, munching, lunching? I laughed at that crazy thing, because who ever heard of a pickle poem? Writing a cinquain is fun, I said. This assignment will be a breeze, I think. Mr. Scary smiled. Well, sometimes poems can be very easy. Can come very easily, Junie B, and other times they don't. But if you share words and ideas with each other, you can really help spark your imaginations, he said. He looked all around. In fact, I thought it might be fun for some of you to write your poem as a team, he said. May Quick came out from under her sweaters at that news. She looked at our group. Okay, fine. I'll be the team leader, she told us. After that, she made a mean face at Mr. Scary and she took out her pencil. I know just what we're going to write about, too, she said kind of growly. She waved her hands at us. You 4 guys just talk about your normal crazy stuff and I'll write the poem, she said. I'll read it to you when I get done. Lenny looked disappointed. But Mr. Scary said we should write our poem together, May, he said. See, said Jose. We're supposed to share thoughts and ideas, remember? May threw her hands in the air. I knew it, she said. I knew working as a team wouldn't work. Fine, you guys just write your own poem and I'll write mine. After that, she took her pencil and paper and she hid under her sweater again. All of us looked at each other and shrugged. Then we started right to work. I tapped on my chin. What does that mean when someone taps on their chin? That they're thinking. It says the first line needs to be the title, I said. So maybe the title should come first. May peeked her eyes out at me. Duh, she said. Jose covered her up again. Just then, Herb raised his hand. Hey, I know, he said. Since Mr. Scary wrote a pickle poem, why don't we write one about an olive? He leaned back in his chair and did a happy thumbs up. No one did a thumbs up back, 'cause what kind of dumb idea was that? An olive, I said. I hate olives, said Jose. I threw up an olive once, said Lenny. Ugh. Herb looked irritated at us. I patted him. Don't be mad, I said. It's just that maybe sometimes there's something funner to write about than an olive, that's all. See, said Jose. Like maybe we could write about soccer. Playing soccer's fun, right? Yes, I said. Plus riding the bus to school is fun too, right, Herb? Me and you always have fun on the bus, don't we? Lenny shook his head. But I don't ride the bus, Junie B, he said. I I think we should write about something that all of us know about. He thought for a second. Then he clapped his hands together. I know! We could write about how all of us shampoo our hair to keep it healthy and shiny. All of us do that, right? After that, me and Jose and Herb just looked and looked at him, because sometimes Lenny is off the deep end, that's why. Finally, Jose put his head on his desk. Maybe we're making this too hard, he said. Why can't we just write about something easy, like about how all of us are friends or something? Herb smiled a little bit. Yeah, that's a good idea. We could write about the four of us. We could call it Friends. Jose smiled too. See, he said, or amigos, maybe. Just then, I bounced up and down real excited because the perfect title just hit me. That's why it hit me right out of the clear blue sky. Pallies, I said. Let's call it Pallies, because that's what we are, right? All four of us are bestest Pallies, and Pallies sound like a cute title, don't you think? I looked at them real hopeful. Then all of my Pallies started to smile. Our poem was off to a great start. So May's not wanting to be part of the group, but they're coming up with their own poem. What do you think is going to happen in the book? You know, it's called Cheater Pants. Do you think Junie is going to have a problem with cheating again? I don't know. Oh, and that was the end of chapter 6. So, you guys tell me what your prediction is.